Anxiety and Depression Within Athletes and Retired Athletes by Kiera, Lyons. Some anxiety symptoms include feeling nervous, restless, or tense, having a sense of impending danger, panic, or doom, having an increased heart rate, sweating, trembling, feeling weak or tired, trouble concentrating or thinking about anything other than present worry, having trouble sleeping, experiencing GI problems, having difficulty controlling worry, having the urge to avoid things that trigger anxiety, and lastly, breathing heavily, hyperventilation. Some depression symptoms include feeling sadness, tearfulness, emptiness, or hopelessness, angry outbursts, irritability, or frustration, even over small matters, loss of interest or pleasure in most or all abnormal activities such as sex, hobbies, or sports, trouble thinking or concentrating, making decisions, and remembering things, frequent or recurrent thoughts of death, suicidal thoughts, suicide attempts, or suicide, unexplained physical problems such as back pain or headaches, sleep disturbances, insomnia, or sleep too much, tiredness and lack of energy, so even small tasks take extra effort, reduced appetite and weight loss, or increased cravings for food and weight gain, anxiety, agitation, or restlessness, slowed thinking, speaking or body movements, feeling of worthlessness or guilt, fixating on past failures or self-blame. The prevalence rate of depression and anxiety among college athletes ranges from as low as 15.6% to as high as 21%. Injuries. Athletes who experienced an injury during the previous year reported significantly higher depression symptom scores than those who reported a non-injured athletes. As measured by the validated Center for Epidemiological Studies Depression, CES, in abbreviation CES-D scale, the sample in the study consisted of 916 NCAA Division I college football players. Brewer and Petrie, these are the people who conducted the study, also found that both groups of athletes in their study reported higher levels of depression symptoms, as 33% of athletes with injury and 27% of non-injured athletes could be classified as depressed on the basis of the CES-D results. Retired athletes. Hart et al. Conducted a neuroimaging study measuring cognitive impairment and depression in a sample of 34 retired NFL players and found a 23.5% prevalence of depression and a high rate of cognitive defects compared with those of a control group. They concluded that cognitive defects and depression symptoms appear to be more prevalent in retired NFL players when compared to those who in a healthy control group. Performance anxiety and depression. Hamad et al. Conducted a study to examine the relationship between the prevalence of diagnosed failure-based depression and self-reported symptoms of depression and anxiety within a sample of 50 elite swimmers. Of note in this study, it was a 68% lifetime prevalence of depression and anxiety episodes. Among the participants was significantly more females endorsing history of depression and anxiety. The authors found that after an athletic competition, 34% of the athletes had clinically elevated depression scores on the BDI-II, but the top quartile of elite performance had 2 times higher rate of the elevated depression scores. Considering the fact that Olympics only occur every 4 years may account for this effect. It is still important to note that within this elite performer group, there is a significant relationship between the athlete's performance and depression and anxiety symptoms. This study illustrates that some high-performing athletes may be more susceptible to depression and anxiety when faced with performance outcomes that are below expectation, and the sports medicine personnel need to be aware of the psychological consequences of losing or personally failing during competition. Suicide. In a review of medical and periodical literature, Baum found 71 cases of athletes who contemplated, attempted, or completed suicide. Of these 71 identified cases, 66 were completed suicides. The vast majority of these cases were male athletes, 61 cases, with an average of 22-year-olds for the entire sample. This is consistent with the empirical literature, which indicates that males are more likely than females to commit suicide, and that individuals between the ages of 15 and 24 represent the group with the highest risk of committing suicide. The HAD scale. The HAD scale was originally developed and validated by the Zsigmond and Snaith, 1983, with the intention to detect states of depression and anxiety in adults aged 16 to 65 years old. It contains an anxiety HADS-A and a depression HADS-A subscale for consisting of 7 items rated on a 4-point Likert scale, 0 to 3. Therefore, a maximum count of 21 points per subscale is possible. The questions are designed to focus solely on psychiatric symptoms by excluding questions related to the physical illness such as dizziness or headaches, thereby excluding somatic components. The questionnaire is designed to assess the participant's state over the past 2 weeks. On the right side of the screen, you can see an example of the hospital anxiety and depression scale and how it's scored. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me, and then I put my email down there.